Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, today we are diving headfirst into an absolute science-backed masterclass on unlocking what is arguably the final untapped frontier of the human mind, lucid dreaming. We're going to strip away all the internet myths and look exactly at what the neuroscience tells us about literally waking up inside your own sleep. So what if I told you that you could control your dreams tonight? Like, really think about that for a second. Instead of treating the dream world as just random background noise your brain generates while you're passed out, what if you reframed it as this massive, highly trainable canvas? By the end of this explainer, you'll see exactly how you can become the author of your own night. Here is our architect's blueprint for the explainer. We're going to build this skill from the ground up. First, the science of sleeping. Second, the power of journaling. Third, signs and reality checks. Fourth, some proven lucid dream techniques. And finally, the benefits along with the real clinical risks. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The science of sleeping. Because, to hack the system, you have to understand the system. Okay, let's dive into this. The staggering problem we are all trying to solve right out of the gate is that 95%, meaning literally 19 out of every 20 dreams you have, vanish completely within 5 minutes of waking up. Poof, gone. And this massive data loss happens because your brain's default neurochemical state during REM sleep suppresses the exact neurotransmitters you need to form stable memories. Basically, your brain was just not designed to hit the save button on this data. So, to fix this, we need to look at your sleep architecture. This timeline shows a standard 90-minute sleep cycle. You move from light N1 sleep all the way down into deep N3 sleep before finally popping up into REM, or rapid eye movement sleep, which is where the vivid dreaming actually happens. But notice how these cycles shift as the night goes on. The REM periods get much, much longer, especially in the final third of the night. That final stretch right before morning is exactly where we are going to target our efforts later on. And this brilliantly illustrates why dreams feel so insanely intense, but make absolutely zero sense. During those REM stages, your limbic system, which is your emotional center, is highly active. But your dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logical reasoning and self-awareness, is deactivated. Your critical thinking center is literally offline. That's why you can be chased by a fire-breathing dragon through your childhood living room and just completely accept it as normal. Moving on to Section 2, the power of journaling. Building this habit is the simplest, but easily the most powerful tool to bridge your waking and dreaming mind. Get this, consistent daily journaling produces a massive 30 to 50% increase in dream recall within just 1 to 2 weeks. I love this because it is so empowering. It proves that remembering your dreams isn't some rare genetic gift that you either have or you don't. It's a highly plastic, trainable skill. By just taking the time to write those fragments down, you are chemically forcing your brain to prioritize that data. So, what's the best way to capture them? Well, a paper journal uses handwriting, which actually engages specific neural pathways that help with deep memory encoding. But on the flip side, digital or voice recording gives you high speed with way less physical movement. And here's a massive secret. Minimizing physical movement is critical. The absolute ultimate key to catching a super fragile dream memory is to remain perfectly still the instant you open your eyes. So honestly, pick whichever method lets you record instantly with the absolute least amount of friction and tossing and turning. All right, Section 3, signs and reality checks. Let's talk about finding those glitches in the matrix. Now, what's really interesting about this is how pioneering Stanford researcher Stephen LaBerge categorized these dream signs. When you review your journal, you'll start spotting recurring oddities. But pay close attention here. Visual forms shifting or weird contexts like hanging out with a deceased relative actually have a really low success rate for triggering lucidity. Your sleeping brain just rationalizes them away. But impossible actions, like breathing underwater, or a really bizarre inner awareness, like feeling impossibly heavy, leaden legs, those have a high success rate. Those internal impossibilities are the absolute most reliable triggers to shock your logical brain awake. To actually capitalize on those signs, we use reality checks. But here is the cognitive reframe you absolutely need to make this work. We call it the burden of proof flip. Do not assume you're awake. Instead, investigate to prove you aren't dreaming. When you do a reality check during the day, like, trying to push your finger through the palm of your hand, or reading some text, looking away and reading it again, you have to be genuinely curious about the result. Mindless, automatic checks on autopilot, they won't transfer to your dream state. You really have to feel that curiosity. Okay, let's get into Section 4, proven lucid dream techniques. This is the scientifically validated stuff. The most foundational protocol out there is Wake Back to Bed, or WBTB. You can think of this as a biological cheat code. Remember that sleep architecture timeline from earlier? How REM stages get way longer in the final third of the night? Well, WBTB targets that directly. You sleep for 4.5 to 6 hours, then you wake up and intentionally stay awake for 15 to 60 minutes doing something really calm. Then you go back to sleep. By doing this, you are strategically placing your conscious intention right at the front door of your longest, most vivid REM cycle. And when you do go back to bed, you pair it with a mild procedure, which was also developed by LaBerge at Stanford. It's a very precise step-by-step checklist. First, recall your most recent dream. Second, identify a specific dream sign within it. Third, repeat an intention phrase to yourself with absolute conviction, like, the next time I'm dreaming, I will remember I'm dreaming. Fourth, and honestly, this is what gives the technique its teeth, vividly visualize yourself back in that dream, actively recognizing the sign. Finally, just repeat that whole sequence on a loop as you drift off. Now let's cut through all the internet hype with some hard numbers from the landmark ASPE study. Generally speaking, mild has a fantastic 46% success rate for inducing at least one lucid dream in a given week. But check out that second data point. For participants who managed to fall back asleep within a super narrow 5-minute window of finishing their mild exercise, success jumped to 54%. That is literally the absolute highest documented success rate in this peer-reviewed research. Falling asleep quickly keeps that conscious intention perfectly primed in your mind. And this brings us to the bleeding edge of where the science is heading right now. In a massive 2026 breakthrough at Northwestern University, researchers used something called targeted lucidity reactivation. They played very specific auditory cues, like a soft melody, while participants worked on puzzles while awake. Then they played those exact same sound cues back to them through a smartphone app during REM sleep. Not only did the sound trigger lucidity, but it literally doubled the participants' ability to successfully solve those real-world puzzles the next day, jumping from 20% to 40%. Dreaming can actually serve an active, measurable cognitive function. It's wild. Which brings us to section 5, benefits and risks, because we need an honest look at what actually happens once you get there and what to watch out for. So boom, you finally realize you're dreaming. Now what? Well, ironically, the sheer shock of achieving lucidity often wakes people up prematurely. Your analytical brain kicks back online and just pulls your attention completely out of the dream. To stop this, you have to stabilize the dream immediately. The very second you become lucid, vigorously rub your dream hands together. Spin your dream body around in circles. Touch the walls, feel the textures. This heavy tactile sensory grounding forces your conscious mind to stay anchored in the dream environment. And for anyone doubting this, we know for an absolute fact that this conscious awareness is real thanks to LRLR verification. This is how Stephen LaBerge proved lucid dreaming to a highly skeptical scientific community in the first place. See, your physical eyes actually mirror your dream eyes. So a lucid dreamer can look rapidly left, right, inside the dream, and that sends a highly intentional, verifiable signal to laboratory sensors from a body that is in fully paralyzed REM sleep. It objectively proves real-time consciousness while a person is sound asleep. So the crucial point is figuring out what we can actually do with this state. When we compare proven clinical benefits against the heavily overstated claims you see online, the science shows massive, legitimate promise for reducing PTSD-related anxiety and depression, and even helping narcolepsy patients manage their hallucinations. However, to be totally clear, it is not some magic cure-all that automatically wipes out all trauma or nightmares overnight. Now, we also have to demystify the physical side effects of playing with the sleep-wake boundary, mainly sleep paralysis. I know it sounds completely terrifying, but it is actually a temporary, medically harmless glitch. Basically, your mind wakes up, but your body's natural REM muscle paralysis, which is there to keep you from physically acting out your dreams, is still active. So for a brief moment, you can't move. Because advanced lucid techniques deliberately blur the line between waking and sleeping, they definitely do increase the likelihood of getting caught in this boundary state. But remember, it's harmless and it passes quickly. But listen, there are genuine psychological risks here that we absolutely have to respect. The primary downsides include increased sleep disruption, really confusing false awakenings, and a potential for mild daytime dissociation. And most importantly, I need to deliver a clinically sober objective warning right here. This practice is strongly contraindicated for anyone with a vulnerability to psychosis. If you have a personal or family history of schizophrenia, bipolar disorder with psychotic features, or delusions, you absolutely must avoid this practice. Deliberately blurring the line between reality and hallucination is simply not safe for those conditions, period. But for the rest of us, think about this. Your mind builds a completely new universe every single night from scratch. Are you going to finally step in and be its architect? You've got the blueprint now. The science is real, the techniques are validated, and it literally all starts with just putting a simple notebook by your bed tonight and deciding that your dream world is actually worth remembering. So, are you ready to take control of the night? Let's find out.